Before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's cover a little bit about the Mustang EcoBoost history first. All right, so a little history lesson on the EcoBoost. Since 2015, the EcoBoost has been an option in the Mustang lineup, offering more power, better gas mileage over the V6 option. Fast forward to 2018 and the V6 was dropped. That was technically 2017, was the last year the V6 was made. But that's leaving the V8 and the 4-cylinder as your two options, unless you're going for the GT350 or the GT500. And let's face it, if you're going for either one of those two options, you're not interested in an EcoBoost, most likely. There's probably one person out there that is. Now, in 2015, when this engine was announced as an option for the Mustang, a lot of people freaked out. There has been another 4-cylinder in the Mustang at one point in time. It was a long time ago, but there has been one, but it kind of took people by surprise, right? With that being said, I personally always thought, even when it was first announced, that the EcoBoost is a great option to have in the lineup. It was an offering of something more practical that you could use as a daily driver, but you still get into that Mustang family. You still get to have something special, still rear-wheel drive. There's a lot of perks to the car, and it puts out more horsepower than the V6 did, so there's something right there. Now, is the EcoBoost for everybody? No, it's definitely not. But I think it is for those people that want to get into a Mustang, but it might be their first one, or they need to use the car as a daily driver. Because I know personally, living in Georgia, that the traffic is terrible. And that being said, it is nice, you know, averaging about 25 mpg everywhere I go if I'm not, you know, ripping on it too bad. So, pros and cons, I guess. Oh yes, the GT versus EcoBoost debate. This is probably your biggest decision, right? If you're looking in the Mustang lineup, since you only have two options, for the most part, unless you got the money to go with the 350 or the 500, then like I said, you're probably not interested in the EcoBoost. Some of the reasons maybe the EcoBoost is a nice option to go with over the GT is, one, the obvious, the gas mileage savings. I average, like I said, about 25 mpg in the EcoBoost right there. That being said, if I rip it pretty good and I'm really pushing the car, I can get less than that, of course. But daily driving, it's about 25, and that's pretty good. That's not being like crazy, you know, conservative either. So I think that's pretty good for a sports car, and for how heavy it is, not bad. Secondly, cheaper buy-in price. On average, the EcoBoost is about 7 to 10K less than a new GT.
Nice.
You have the initial cost savings, and you have the fuel savings. So that's pretty good, compelling right there, right? The third thing is that it's usually cheaper to insure than the GT is. Now insurance, that's all over the place. I can't, kind of go down that road too much, because for one person it may be a lot cheaper, for another it might be more, but odds are most of the time a 4-cylinder Mustang is going to be cheaper to insure than a V8, just the way it is. So there's definitely some pros with going with the EcoBoost, but what are the cons? And there are cons. Believe me, there are cons. When the EcoBoost came out in 2015, the hate for this car was real. I was cruising through, this is back when I had a Mark 6 GTI, and I saw it come out. I was pretty surprised, because I was, wow, a 4-cylinder in a Mustang. I thought I'd never see the day. Although, then I learned that it did happen once before. Yeah, I looked it up, saw that it was a real thing. I couldn't believe it. And then for a second, I thought to myself, well, that's pretty cool. Wow, like they can get 310 horsepower or whatever it was, 300 horsepower from the factory, 350, 315 pound-feet of torque, something around there. But like on my first point, the hate for this car was real. So as the years have progressed, that has gotten a lot better. I've never got in person anyone saying, really, why didn't you get a GT? I have not come across anyone saying that. Everyone that I've come in contact with loves the car. They think it looks great. They think it sounds good. Maybe they're just telling me that. That could be. But so far it's been positive. But you probably will get that question. Why didn't you get a GT? And that one, I mean, it's pretty obvious choice, right? If everyone had the money, right? Money was no object. The GT would probably be the one that people got. Just saying. But when it came down to my needs, I needed something that, living here in Georgia, there's traffic all over the place, and this was before all the COVID craziness hit, and I needed a car that got decent gas mileage, but was also fun to drive. Because I'd be damned if I went from that GTI with the KO4 turbo swap to some Toyota Corolla or something like that. I don't know if I could take it. So I looked into this, and I'm very happy with what I went with. Side note, if you want to hear more about that car that I had, the Mark 6 GTI and the mod list, let me know down below. I'm happy to share that with you. It was a pretty cool car. I did like that one, but had some transmission issues, and it had like 150,000 on it, so it was time for something else. But that all being said, when I moved down to Georgia, it allowed me to get something that was rear-wheel drive, because living in Wisconsin, that was not such a smart idea with the Wisconsin winters that we have up there. So that was one of the main reasons. I was looking at a bunch of different cars though at the time. I was looking at the Subaru BRZ, the Toyota 86. Those are pretty much the same car. I was looking into Impreza, even though that's all-wheel drive, or WRX I should say, and even another GTI. But the EcoBoost was kind of in that classification of, you had the economy, the fuel economy that you could get out of it, but also fun rear-wheel drive sports car. What's not to like? And when I was comparing the horsepower figures from the factory for a lot of the cars out there, the Mustang was on top of those boards. Now I know with tuning any car, especially ones that come factory with a turbo, it's much easier. You have the ECU already programmed, obviously, from the factory to run a turbocharger. You don't have to, I digress. It's easy to make power on a turbocharged car from the factory. But moving down, like I said, traffic, not good. Need something with good gas mileage, right? I like that it had more power than its kind of opponents in the same classification, so that was a plus. Now that I think about it, this was before COVID, right? Now I work from home, so I probably could have got the GT at this point, because I don't drive it that often. And honestly, guys, at some point in time, that's my goal. I do want to get a GT at some point in time, but not because, everyone has one, or, it's the natural progression of things. I've just always wanted one. But when should you just go with a GT? And that's a pretty important question to identify right away. Like if you're out looking at EcoBoosts and GTs, and you're kind of torn between which one to go with, I think it comes down to a couple things. One, are you gonna mod the car? Are you going to be chasing horsepower numbers? I'm gonna bite myself on this one because I am. You know, you saw the channel most likely. If you haven't, that's a great segue into like clicking around here or subscribing. Do all those things for me. That'd be great. If you're gonna be modding the car, take into account that odds are a tune on the car and aftermarket modifications, you're probably gonna void your manufacturer warranty. Now, that's not 100% true. Ford does have to prove that the parts you installed were the cause of whatever failed. So they have to prove that, so you're not just like SOL right away, which is good. If you think you're gonna be putting in more than $7,000 to $10,000 into the EcoBoost, then I would say it might be time to just look at the GT and start off with that horsepower right away. Now you can make more horsepower in the EcoBoost compared to a GT. You know, so you may spend $7,000 on an EcoBoost that can beat GTs all day long, but at the end of the day, you're still running a highly modified engine. At that point, it would be forged internals most likely. You'd be running an aftermarket turbo, obviously pro-tuned, every other bolt-on imaginable, but it has been done, so you could do it. It just depends on you, I guess, if you want to spend the money that way. Or if you're gonna mod the GT does have a lot higher potential, obviously. Bigger engine, more power. Like if you get a GT and you're like, well, I'm just gonna put 10K into that one too, either way, well, you're gonna have a much faster car if you pro-charge or turbocharge or whatever. The GT, of course. Bigger engine, more displacement. That will be faster most likely. So I guess it comes down to you want something as far as a daily driver goes, good gas mileage, I say go with the EcoBoost. They're more than fun. They're super fun in the corners. They handle great, and they have more than enough power to let you have fun with. And the modability is crazy. There's so many mods out there. For me, I was gonna mod a car either way. If I got the GT, I probably couldn't just leave it stock. I probably couldn't. So either way, if you guys are gonna be buying one of the cars and you guys are gonna be putting money in them regardless, obviously the GT is gonna have a little bit more potential to be faster if you care about that. If not, you can get plenty of power out of the EcoBoost engines with just a few bolt-on modifications. If you guys are into Mustangs and you wanna get your foot in the door into the Mustang lineup, the EcoBoost is an awesome option for you to consider. And if you have the money for the GT and you don't care about the gas mileage, then go for the GT, man. Whatever makes you happy, that's what you should do. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know this subject is very touchy, so this is just my opinion. And you guys let me know what you think down below. Why did you get your EcoBoost? Will you ever want to graduate or go to a GT in the future, or any other sports car for that matter? Or are you happy with the EcoBoost? Let me know. Guys, again, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next upload. Have a good one. Bye.